Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode number 53 of The Gavel, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the latest news relevant to our community of victims of government weaponization, as well as the important updates of my mission for freedom here in Washington, D.C. I'm your host, Ana Toledo, an attorney with over 30 years experience in civil rights and environmental litigation that now has moved to DC to fight for freedom from what we all know is the unacknowledged special access program that has subjected us to hundreds of thousands of Americans to modern day slavery. Today is Friday, February 22nd, and this podcast constitutes a permanent historic record of our fight for freedom and fight to end government weaponization, which is a word that is in the mouth of so many people, but they don't really know what it is to feel military-grade weaponry in your body. I am not only fighting for the more than 300,000 victims in the United States, but the more than 6 million victims around the world that the CIA tortures 24/7. My goal is that of exposing this covert program, which can no longer operate once everybody finds out about it. Once it's no longer covert, it cannot operate. It cannot be plausible deniable. So we are going to continue to expose the good news this week, even though I'm going to start with something that is not necessarily really good news. The rest that is coming is very good. So buckle up. It's going to be wonderful. I can only tell you good things are happening, so stay tuned. Now, to begin with, before I move on, you know that I want to always do an invocation because there is so much evil and so much just nastiness out there that we need to be covered in the blood of Jesus before we start. So here is my invocation for today, and I'm going to ask you that you kindly share, like, and subscribe, because it's the only way to defeat the censorship that we are victims of. Okay, so I was reading this verse this morning, and it's in Matthew chapter 5, 14-16, and it reads like this: "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Amen. As I have always said to all of you, that we are shining. It is our job to shine the light on all the darkness that has been spread all over the world regarding this program. And you choose every day to either be light or be darkness. You can choose to see the positive, the glass half full, or the glass half empty. And there are many reasons to see it completely full, because it's happening. So now I want to, before I go any further, I need to show you this week's newsletter, but I want to do a very special shout out. And this is, just indulge me in my little selfishness. of indulging you in this, in showing you this, and it is that, let me just put it up there, that today is my father's birthday. My father, he's no longer with us. He passed away in 2014. However, I am every bit of what I am thanks to obviously him and my mom. But a day like today, 1929, he was born in the mountains of Puerto Rico. He was very poor, and I know I've told many of you his story. But in 2014, the criminals accelerated and actually coordinated his death. It was exactly at 10 p.m. on a day in August. And I owe what I am, the warrior in me, I owe a lot of it to my mom, but also to my father, who was a 24/7 inspiration of resilience and courage. For those of you that don't know, he was born with cerebral palsy and could never walk without crutches. So the picture on the right is him at Columbia University. He studied, even though he did an MBA at Wharton Business School, one summer he studied at Columbia. Back there, you can see the statue of Alma Mater, which was my alma mater. And exactly 30 years later, he was in the same place in my graduation. So, and then the picture on the right is the last birthday that we celebrated together. And just because of him and my mom is that I am here fighting for you, because he taught me to never, ever give up, and that there was always a way to accomplish your goals. He never gave up. No was not an acceptable answer for him. So I just had to selfishly share that with you because, we are the product of the wonderful memories that we have. We tend to forget the bad ones and remember the good ones and the good lessons that we have learned. Particularly, I was blessed to have a father that taught me with his example what courage is about. Courage that you cannot learn by reading a book. Courage that you learn by doing things. And that's why I try to inspire you all to do things and become courageous if you haven't by now. Anyways, please like, share, and subscribe. And let's just see this week's newsletter for those of you that haven't had the chance to look at it. Here is... As you know, the hearing was set for May 13th. Somebody from Ana Toledo's office told me delayed. The word he said is delayed. Many of you were upset that it was canceled. I was delighted because what it tells me is that the criminals are running scared, that people are taking victims seriously, and that this is not a joke. It was not going to be just a charade. It was going to be the first of many hearings. I really hope that Miss Luna has her heart in the right place, and we have to continue putting pressure on everybody that has anything to do with this hearing. I don't think that it's going to get canceled. I think it is going to happen, and it's going to be huge. On X, trending MK Ultra. What this means in the lips of normies. This is what we have, digital warriors, have worked for so hard. We are getting there. Kudos to all of you, the unconditional support that you all have given us.
Fusion centers. Can you explain how they coordinate targeting, please?
Once a target is flagged in the system, the Fusion Center becomes the command hub that distributes that targeting profile to local operatives, street teams, and surveillance networks. They synchronize the harassment, timing of street theater, coordinating with employers or institutions to isolate the target, managing the psychological operations. It's the orchestration point. The orchestration.
Hear how this targeted law-abiding citizen uses AI to explain how the secretive gang stalking program works. Targeted Justice has been stating these facts for years.
When my targeting went overt, my car got vandalized several times. I got harassed wherever I go, including at my job. And the worst of it all, anyone I went to, whether family or law enforcement, didn't believe me. I was blessed to discover Targeted Justice. When I went to their targeted action event, it was the first time since my targeting where I felt comfortable just being around other people. Just to be able to talk to others about my targeting without judgment felt like I had a voice again. Ana Toledo was very warm, friendly, and she was very knowledgeable about how to use the justice system to our benefit. Richard Lighthouse was very kind as well. He was very intelligent. He knew a lot about the program, about how to navigate through it, and more importantly, different ways on how to get it shut down. Targeted Justice has done a phenomenal job at creating a fun yet safe environment for victims of government weaponization. Thanks to Targeted Justice, I didn't feel like a victim anymore. I felt like a fighter. I joined the Digital Warriors campaign to spread awareness. I also started making videos for the Chosen Heroes, the Gavel, and the Targeted Justice newsletter. I am so grateful to be able to help out the TI community, and I'm also blessed to be part of Targeted Justice and taking this program down. Hi, my name is Sean Burton, and I'm happy to be volunteering for Targeted Justice.
Calling all digital warriors. Please like, share, and repost this video on all social media. We're still looking for volunteers. What's your skill set? Let us know how you can help by emailing us at tjustice2@proton.me and put volunteer in the subject line. Are you looking for more targeted justice content? Go to Rumble, and that is where our channel is located. We have t-shirts, cups, merchandise, and more at our online store by following these links. You can either buy a gift or get something for yourself. We are a non-profit organization. Please consider donating online or sending us a check. All donations are tax deductible. Thank you again for watching this video. God bless. God bless. God bless.
Yeah, I can only be, I am so immensely thankful to Sean, because he is a huge example of exactly, putting your money where your mouth is and working for freedom. Anyways, let's go to the news. There's a lot of them happening. And like I anticipated, some are good and some are not so good. But, it's like I always say, even the worst news, there's always a good side to it. We might not see it immediately, but it might happen down the line. And so today we had the news that Tulsi submitted her resignation letter. Turns out the reason she gave, although there are people like Baker and Shipp have different opinions about it, but the reason she gave is that her husband has a rare form of bone cancer. Now, we all know that people that got jabbed are developing very strange cancers, and he's a film person. He's a person that does film. So I know for a fact that people during the lockdowns and the mandates, I know this because it happened in Puerto Rico, any person participating in any kind of movie, they had to have the vaccination, vaccine packs. So maybe this is why he had to get jabbed, even though Tulsi was a very vocal. She questioned the jabs, right? Anyways, we wish him a speedy recovery, and I would not be surprised if the CIA criminals had something to do with him developing this illness, because as we know, these criminals are capable of giving you any kind of illness. So I just, I just hope that everything is okay with him, and he'll probably get the best treatment he can. Now, what we do know is that Tulsi, she's going out with a bang. For one thing, we know that the the CIA criminals were spying on her, probably the NSA. We get worried about hacking, but this is the director of ODNI and her staff, and the criminals, the CIA and NSA criminals, had installed keyloggers on their computers and were listening to their conversations. And as a matter of fact, she was getting too close for comfort for the CIA criminals. And I'm going to remind you of this whistleblower that I played for you last week, but I'm going to remind you what he said to the Senate.
The CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of DIG personnel, their investigations, and contact with whistleblowers. These were Americans being spied upon illegally while executing duties directed by the president and under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. One CIA contractor assisting with the DIG's investigation into the events that transpired between 2022 and 2023 was fired by the CIA one day after meeting with the DIG.
And then we have people like Rand Paul, that we totally cheer him and like him a lot, and Wyden and Ron Wyden, who are fighting against the government criminals and against the warrantless surveillance. But this is very revealing of what Rand Paul recently said about the CIA.
It sort of begs the question, who's in charge here? Are the people through the representatives in charge, or are the intelligence agencies more powerful than Congress? If the intel agencies are more powerful than Congress, that's a very dangerous situation. It means we live in a lawless society with secret agents, and secret agencies can do whatever they will.
And this is good news for us, because if Rand Paul is like a pit bull, when he grabs a bone, there's no letting go. And now that Thomas Massie lost his election in Kentucky, he vowed to expose things and to continue his libertarian work. So I think that those are signs of good things to come. The intelligence agencies cannot be more powerful than Congress. No. Anyways, Tulsi has a month left. And it seems to us that she's not going to go out. She's going to go out, but with a bang. Listen to this. She said, number one, she's going to expose. Do you know that secret classified FISA opinion that they were detailing the abuses by the FBI criminals? Well, she's working to declassify it. And just today, we got news that Daily Wire explained that she is going to even declassify more stuff. She wants to release the findings of a number of high-profile investigations before she leaves, including Havana Syndrome, as you know, the intelligence community assessment that was withdrawn, and HAIs, COVID, weaponization, 2020 election, and more. So she has a month, a little over a month, to, because she's leaving on the 30th of June, to expose all these things. And let's just hope that these are good things for us, because they get, everything that proves how the CIA criminals are perpetrating crimes and criminality, it's all good for us. What we need is to defund the Denver domestic operations that operate illegally in U.S. soil. So we're counting on her to do the right thing, particularly because President Trump announced just today that her successor is going to be Aaron Lucas, a career intelligence officer that will no doubt be playing footsie with the CIA criminals. And the optics are nothing good. And the reason I don't speak without information here, this is what Grok told me about Mr. Lucas. Prior to that, he had prior experience, but in 2004 onward, he joined the CIA as an intelligence analyst, then quickly transitioned to the Directorate of Operations as a clandestine operations officer. He spent more than 20 years at the CIA. Does that give you any confidence? Not me. Serving both as analyst and covert operations officer with deployment worldwide. I'm sure he knows about the program. I'm sure he knows about the crimes against humanity. He rose to become CIA Chief of Station, managing sensitive clandestine programs, liaison relationships, and high-risk operations, including recruiting and handling assets overseas. Much of his operational work remains classified. Listen to this. He has been described as certified in advanced tradecraft and experience in breaking, and this is a quote, breaking all sorts of laws in the course of operations. There you have it. That's Grok telling me that. I didn't say that. So the future as it pertains to ODNI is bleak, but at least there are good things happening somewhere else. And I want to tell you about that right now. So, and also, we really hope that Tulsi does leave with a bang and expose us. She just leaves this big mess for them to clean up, exposing the CIA criminals who are watching. Hi, criminals. I'm not stopping. I'm not leaving Washington, D.C. until you are all exposed, and hopefully we can throw some of you in jail. Now, second good news for us. You know how I told you I came to D.C. because the narrative was FISA 702, Havana syndrome, illegal surveillance. Well, Judicial Watch has filed a huge lawsuit against the three-letter agencies for, show you this, for everything on Havana syndrome. What they have denied Dr. Bear, what they have denied us, they are going to have to give them, because these people have a huge legal machinery, the people at Judicial Watch. And so they sued FBI, CIA, DIA, ODNI, and ICE for records on Havana syndrome. It's a FOIA lawsuit and against the Department of Justice and the four other agencies, okay? They want the government to respond to multiple FOIA requests submitted by Judicial Watch in February of 2026 for extensive records dating back to 2016 regarding investigative, analytic, and operational response to Havana syndrome affecting U.S. personnel both domestically and abroad. Now, that's a little concerning, because if it's just narrowed to U.S. personnel, that's a problem. I would love to see more than, about just the grounds to believe that it's who is doing it and whatever. Anyways, the complaint, they seek all records, though, created, received, or maintained by the bureaus, counterintelligence division, weapons of mass destruction directorate, and field offices relating to, and this is what they ask for, Havana syndrome investigations, including files indexed under classifications such as espionage, sabotage, domestic security, and foreign counterintelligence. Now, I'm afraid that by including that description, they're going to exclude the CIA, because this parts from the premise that it's a sabotage, a counterterrorism, and it's the CIA criminals doing it. But let's just hope. The request also seeks FD 302 interview reports, electronic communications, case files, tons more, and CIA records addressing technical and scientific analysis of potential causal mechanisms for Havana syndrome, including directional energy, pulse radio frequency energy, and ultrasonic or infrasonic hypothesis. So the lawsuit also seeks Defense Intelligence Agency records relating to its internal Havana syndrome investigation, reportedly led by retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Ed Green. This is the guy that, as many of you remember, in May 8th of 2024, testified before the House Homeland Security Committee and explained that these weapons leave no entry or exit wound and make the victim feel as though they're going crazy. The downside to that is that by information on information I believe, I think that Mr. Ed Green concluded it was Russia doing it. But let's see what comes out of this. It can only be good, because information can only be good. Okay, so I think, and they're also asking our DNI records that the ones that were withheld, the intelligence community assessment methodology that were supposedly withdrawn and withheld from the public. So this is good news for us. All the heavy lifting that journalists can do, even if Catherine Hetrich doesn't want to acknowledge civilian victims, she's going to be forced into it. She's going to have to acknowledge it because it's inevitable. So all the heavy lifting they do, it's good. Now, this week I went with Analog Ana went to Congress with Jill Amack. Came to DC and we did a lot of work. But the most important work, and I just had to communicate this to you, was on Wednesday we went to Congress, and we actually went to see here. You can see that little arrow there. That's me right behind the witness back there. We went to see the Southern Poverty Law Center hearings that were with the House Judiciary, in the House Judiciary Committee, presided by Jim Jordan. But after that, we met some good people there, some important people, and gave our flyers, etc. But after that, we had the amazing experience that we got to speak to two really important representatives, one of which is the fabulous Representative Burchett, and I'm not going to mention the other one. And then we met with one of the staffers that is in charge of the Havana syndrome, the MK Ultra hearings. And for half an hour, I just did not stop talking. And I talked to him about everything, including my dear friends, Janet and Jenny and their daughters, and FISA 702 and Havana syndrome, and how everything is connected. And the good news I want to tell you is this. We have been coming, targeted justice has been coming since May. We were here for a week. Then, and we met with a few people. Then we came in September for targeted action. But I can assure you that the attitude, the receptiveness, the inquisitiveness of the people we approached has changed 180 degrees. People now want to know what is going on. And it is also thanks to you that you have written, that you have demanded attention from your representatives and your senators. And the entire narrative has shifted. Now they know that they stepped into a landmine and this is not going away. A little later, I'm going to give you an email, but I just wanted to tell you that, like, Jill and I came out of there and we were just crying out of happiness because it was the first time that we know that the tide has turned and that the people in Congress are taking our claims seriously. And in that sense, I have to tell you that I will give you the email to write to in a little while. And I am going to urge you to take the time to do first of all, ignore your V2K, okay? Don't write anything that your V2K tells you, because your V2K is your enemy. Number two, do an outline in a Word document and then paste it on to your representative or your senator. And just say, this is very real. MK Ultra never ended. And then just do not write 5 pages in single space, because they're not going to read it. Just do 2 pages and volunteer at the end and say, I am willing to testify or give you a sworn statement about this, about my experiences. You can start by saying, since 2014, I am a targeted individual. I discovered it like this. Among the many things that have happened to me range from this to this. My life has been obliterated in more than one ways. I cannot find a job. I am homeless. Whatever your story is, I have 24/7 microwave auditory effect that torments me. I got sleep deprivation. I got electromagnetic harassment. But please, please, for the sake of this community and the light shining upon the darkness, do not go off the deep end and rabbit holes and, it's my neighbor doing it. No. Your neighbor can be a gang stalker, but we're going to deal with gang stalking later. You can mention that you are a victim of organized stalking, because remember, the gang stalking is directed by DHS. Right now, we want to stop these weapons that are torturing children and grandmothers and you. So please keep it very, and maybe it would help to give it to a friend or a relative that are good people to you, to read it and give you their feedback. Okay. And this comes from a very good place in my heart. It comes from a place that I don't want you to be dismissed as non-credible. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you, because I can tell you that I am absolutely certain that the tide has turned and the criminals have nowhere to hide. And these hearings are going to happen. He didn't know exactly when, but because August is going to be a month that they're going to be away in their districts. So I don't know if it's going to be late July or early September. We don't know. But they are going to happen. And what he told me in this moment is that we are in the intake procedure. They have received hundreds of emails. This is not going away. And I have to commend all of you that have written and that have insisted on this, because they can no longer ignore us. And that is the great news. And that is what I came here for. I can tell you, I have seen the work of targeted justice in action. These people know who we are, and these people are taking our claims seriously. And for that, I am so proud to be working with Target Justice. Anyways, now let's go with the controversy regarding the weaponization fund. As you know, last week, DOJ announced that they set up a $1.7 billion weaponization fund to pay victims of weaponization. The first thing you need to understand that aside from being a victim of weaponization, you are a victim of torture which is valued at a totally different level. Okay, so you're not going to conform. You're not going to just agree to a small little settlement of $500,000. No, you have been tortured, and you are entitled to a huger settlement. Okay, now what I do want to tell you is it's on the, it's in a balancing, we don't know if it's going to happen or not, because the Capitol police officers are suing. And even though in my personal opinion, I think they don't have standing to sue, hey, this is DC. Maybe the district court will have one of the Biden auto pen judges say that it's illegal, and then it'll have to go to the Court of Appeals. And there's also Senator Thune and Senator Tillis that are against it. But it doesn't require, and I'm going to read to you later, it doesn't require congressional or Senate approval, because it has already been approved, this kind of settlement. Okay. Now, what I can tell you is that Todd Blanche said he wanted to hear from the victims. So let's please him. Let's comply. Let's write to him. And this week, I'm going to be drafting you. And so if you're not subscribed to my Meta, subscribe. It's free. You can get the information there, because I'm going to make a sample there for you to send to Todd Blanche and tell him, I am a victim of government weaponization. I've been victimized in case whatever. You're going to put federal and state cases, both of them, because we know that the FBI criminals talk to state courts to get your cases dismissed or decided against the president. We know that. I know that for a fact. So you are going to write to Todd Blanche if you want and say, I want an apology, because one of the things that this weaponization working group or working fund, whatever it's going to do, is that they're going to issue apologies. And then you're going to ask for an apology for having been illegally included on the terrorist screening database without reasonable suspicion. You wait. I'm going to write this nice post. This just came out today. So attorney, let me show you. Attorney Jonathan Gross has written to him. He wrote a letter to Todd Blanche saying, I want to meet. You said you wanted to meet with us. Well, here I am asking for you to meet with me. So let's send these letters to him. And so I'm going to put that in there, because remember one thing, the FBI is under DOJ. As a matter of fact, DOJ would order the infamous otherwise illegal activity for the FBI to perpetrate. Okay. So we're going to demand that they remove. Oh, you want to apologize to me? You remove my name from the illegal watch list, from the bogus handling codes 3 and 4, because I'm not a terrorist. And that is the root of all evil. Okay. So Attorney Gross, he is working with the J6ers. He says that since Todd Blanche says he absolutely cares for the victims and that he wants to hear from the victims every single day, well, he is going to hear from them. Now, that's the letter that he sent. He said, Dear Acting General, Attorney General Blanche, I'm writing on behalf of a large group of victims of what President Trump has rightly described as the weaponization against January 6 defendants. As the head of the DOJ, you now bear the responsibility of addressing this unprecedented misuse of federal power. During your testimony before Congress on May 19th, you extended an open invitation for victims and their attorneys to contact and meet with you. Did you hear that? Yes, he's asking for you to contact him because he's going to meet with you. And so you're familiar with weaponization from your representation of President Trump in his conviction of 34 felonies. Okay? And yada, yada. He continues. So he's asking, respectfully request a meeting with you at your earliest convenience. There we go. Now, the Department of Justice issued a guidance saying what is and what is not the fund. And again, I don't recommend any of you to apply for monetary compensation. And the reason is this: I believe that each one of you has a right to present your case in due time before a jury of your peers. I do not think that DOJ will recognize the torture until it is finally exposed by the MK Ultra hearings. I do not think. And then, I don't know if you get an award for them, if it's going to be binding, so you cannot sue other people, which I would totally advise you against, because I want to sue the criminals in Puerto Rico that disgraced my life, not just the federal government. I'm going to go against their personal assets too. I don't know about you, but anyways, so the Anti-Weaponization Fund was created to hear and redress claims of Americans who suffered lawfare and weaponization, like, for example, the IRS, or getting denied SNAP benefits and that kind of thing. And defined as the use of government power to target them for improper and unlawful reasons. Who will benefit? This is about seeking accountability for all Americans who were victims of lawfare and weaponization. Millions of Americans whose online speech was censored at the behest of the government. Parents silenced at school boards. Senators whose records were secretly subpoenaed. So they talk about the senators. Look at this, whose records were secretly subpoenaed. Guess what? Your records were secretly subpoenaed. So that's another thing you can add to your request to Todd Blanche. I want an apology, and I want the copies of all the FISA warrants, churchgoers targeted by the FBI, and so on. The submission of a claim is voluntary. Nobody's required to do so. There is no partisan restriction. The fund will consist of 5 members appointed by the Attorney General, and 1 member will be chosen in consultation with congressional leadership. The members will be tasked with creating the guidelines for those applying to the fund. That's going to take, that's going to take months, and will ultimately decide which claims should be paid out. Claims are awarded on a case-by-case basis, and the commissioners must consider a claimant's personal conduct and character when making a determination. You know what that sounds like, right? Personal conduct and character. And the funding, as you know, comes from a judgment that a judgment approving a settlement of some lawsuits filed by Donald J. Trump and his son against the IRS. So it will receive $1.776 billion. And this sounds like a lot of money, but when you divide it among the J6ers, now there's even news broadcasting companies that are saying that they were victims of weaponization as well. So there's going to be not just people, but also corporations that are going to be submitting their application. Anyways, I will certainly will do the request for an apology, because I know that I have personally, and many of you have personally, been victims of lawfare. Anyways, so we're going to continue to make our voices heard. And in this context, I want to show you, because this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen when MK Ultra Never Ended is exposed. This is what will happen to you.
I'm David Johnston, and I think J6ers have paid enough. I'm offering to do your application for compensation from the $1.776 billion fund for 10% not to exceed $5,000.
I have been telling you all along. That once it is exposed that MK Ultra never ended, you are going to have dozens of attorneys, ambulance chasing you. So be patient. Don't despair. Be patient. It's going to happen. Now, I'm going to do some housekeeping. In the Privacy Act requests, the FBI criminals have been answering people saying, oh, I'm going to send you 18 pages. And would you agree to it? Let me show you. Let me show you why you're not going to agree to it. because what they're doing is setting a trap for you. You're gonna go, and you're not gonna fall for it. This is what I wrote to them back when when they send me that. This is what I replied to them. Dear sirs, thank you for responding to my months-old Privacy Act request. If you read my communication, it clearly sets forth that I am exerting my rights under the Privacy Act and want to examine my records and then determine which ones I want copies of. I also want to exert my right to request that any incorrect information about me be duly corrected in the agency files. I urge you to read my very specific request that leaves room for no doubts. I want all the past FISA warrants on me, just like provided to Carter Page. I want access to my TSDB nomination form and complete threat screening center file, just as you provided to Christine Crowder during the Quiet Skies investigations. I want all the communications that the FBI and their assets have had with the members of the Puerto Rico judiciary to take away my property rights. I want the receipts on all the people that the FBI has paid to spy on me and destroy my life. I want the receipts on all the money that the FBI and its collaborators have spent to destroy me. To sum up, I want access to inspect all the records I requested at the FBI Washington, D.C. office, including all my files within all FBI files, including El Sur, which is electronic surveillance, Sentinel, Sentinel Gold, prohibited access, San Juan field office, terror screening center, NCIC, which is National Crime Information Center, and any other hidden records that the FBI maintains. If the production of records you wrote to me about does not include any of the above, it is incomplete. I am a law-abiding American with rights under the Privacy Act to obtain access to the records requested. I'm not going to limit the time frame of the records to be inspected because for more than 27 years, the FBI has created and maintained records on me, and I have a statutory and constitutional right to examine them. Okay? I'm just telling you, because don't fall for that trap. They're saying, oh, if you want, we will expedite it, only giving you 18 pages. No, it's a trap. Don't fall for the traps of the FBI. We have already fallen into too many of them. Okay? Now, Representative Luna, as I told you a little while ago, she's asking for input from all of you, and I really urge you. This is a post that was on X that you can write APL mail at mail.house.gov regarding the MK Ultra. MK Ultra never ended, and it's like I said, if you want your voice heard, please do it in such a way that you do it intelligently. Please don't repeat what the V2K tells you, because that doesn't sound intelligent. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody, but I can detect it like that anytime I hear it. Now, I again shout out to Sean. He's such an amazing volunteer. I want you to please remember the intention time that our dear volunteer Jim is reminding people on the 5 minutes for the prayer or meditation on the program is over, the program has ended, I am free now, whatever feels organic to you. Let's have this collective intention time, please. It's only 5 minutes. You waste 5 minutes scrolling in the internet. It's 5 minutes for freedom. It can only help. It cannot hurt us. Research demonstrates that it actually works. Anyways, I just wanted to thank you for being here and reassure you that good things are happening. I have seen it in the eyes of the people I have talked to. I've seen things that I hadn't seen in the prior, ever since May, since we started this endeavor here in Washington, D.C. And it is my firm belief that we are in a good path to freedom. We are still determining whether we're going to do targeted action for this year. I think it should happen, because I think this is the moment. The moment is now. We just have to figure it out how to do it. But I would very, very much like, for you to continue writing to your representatives and your senators and tell them, please support Representative Luna's investigation into MK Ultra because it never ended. And then you can copy them, whatever you send to Representative Luna. Anyways, as I told you, I am deeply grateful for your support. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here until we're free and then some, because that's when the heavy lifting is going to start. When they finally pull the plug on the weapons, we're going to have to dismantle this entire operation that has taken more than 60 years to create. We have to go for the criminals at DHS that are, the boots in the ground on the ground. We have to go for the InfraGard criminals that hack and spy on us illegally without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. And there's a lot of layers of dismantling that have to be done. But once the weapons are shut down, life is going to be just so amazing. And I am counting just on that. We're going to do it. We're closer than we have ever been. So please, this is no time to back off. This is a time to get yourself together and continue the campaign. Continue red pilling people. MK Ultra never ended. Okay. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you next week for another episode of The Gavel. Thank you.